Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of A Handful of Hope. I am so happy and grateful to have Tracy with us today, who's aware of the vast need for people to heal, transform, and grow. Tracy's adventurous spirit and fiery optimism, oh, I love fiery optimism, led her to create Maha Soul Yoga Studio. Tracy is the founder of Mama Bird and space holder for others. She gently encourages all the sweet souls that venture in physically and virtually to find joy in shining their own light, therefore raising the vibration of the planet. Tracy is an initiated, oh my goodness, you're going to have to help me
I
pronounce
know.
the words.
Kuraq Akulleq.
Say that one more time.
Kuraq Akulleq.
Kuraq Akulleq, fourth level shaman and wisdom keeper in the Peruvian Incan tradition of the Andes, a 500-hour certified yoga instructor, Aroma Touch therapist, creatrix and owner of, did I say that right before, Tracy? Maha?
Yep, Maha Soul.
Maha Soul, and author of the Positive Intention Workbook. Tracy's intention is to create a healing and empowering mindset for those who need it through the services she provides and the products she sells. Tracy, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm honored to be here.
So I have to ask, what is a fourth level shaman and wisdom keeper?
So many years ago, I got the call to do some self-work, which happened to be through shamanism. And through that training, not only did I learn a lot about myself, and this particular lineage was Incan from that Peruvian area. And even though I didn't go to Peru, my teachers were here in Colorado with me. But I knew the year that it happened, I was going to be doing some big learning that year. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if I was going to be going to school, back to school, something like that. And my sister and I roomed together the 4th of July, and she had this strange little packet. I'm like, what is that? And she's like, that's my mesa. I'm like, what is that? And so she started explaining this shamanism course that she was going through, and I immediately got chills. And I'm like, I think that that's one. She goes, well, they're starting in August. And so it was basically, they call it walking the medicine path. And the very first weekend was 2.5 days of learning about the direction of the South and what all that means. And so it was a lot of going inward and figuring out each time we did it, how to best serve people. What I got from it the most was that we all have light within us, but sometimes as patterns and programs and things happen in us in our life, we start to dull our light and we're not as seen anymore. And so by helping people shine that light up, dust off, then we're glowing. Our chakras are showing, and we can recognize each other then. And then we can see like, oh, this person is my kindred spirit, or this person could use some help. And of course, you don't, in this particular lineage, you would never force anything on somebody. As a matter of fact, I've had parents that know I could do clearings and stuff. I'm like, my daughter really needs to go through that. I'm like, then I need to talk to your daughter, because, she ultimately would be the one that would allow me permission to work on her energy field and clear away the things. And a lot of times things glom onto us. It's called the luminous energy field in shamanism, and aura is another name for it. But it's just about as wide as our our fingertips. But when you're feeling safe, it can be a lot bigger. When you're feeling not that safe or just needing protection, it can pull in a lot more. And so it's clearing all of that heavy energy and yuck away that's not even yours. So, yeah.
Tracy, so when you said you got the call, I'm assuming it's not a phone call, you're getting like a physical, that chills response, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you learn, or how have you learned to trust in that? Because I feel like so often in life, so many of us are getting called to something, and we've learned to ignore it. We've learned to talk ourselves out of it. We've learned to dismiss it as a coincidence, all sorts of things. But I'm of the belief that it's when we can find the courage to trust in that. That's often where the magic is. How did you develop that trust into that and to learn to listen for that and act?
I think mainly I started following synchronicities when somebody would mention a book and then somebody completely in a different circle or would mention that same book. And then, you know, I'd hear a ad for the book. And it's like, okay, you know, that's 3 times in a relatively short amount of time that I've heard this. Probably better get on it. And, you know, sure enough, it would be, you know, full of wisdom for what I need to right then and now. And I think just trusting that, I had a friend tell me this once, and I think it's a good thing to remember. If it's not a resounding yes, it's a no. And so when those resounding yes, when they hit you, I mean, sometimes it can really be that physical feeling, like in your gut, like I had it with the, you know, the goosebumps. Things will, it just seems to me, it comes across as brighter. Like when you think about it, it makes you happy or it makes you calm, as opposed to a decision where you're like, ugh, I really need to put this off, or I don't want to do that. So, and with that, our chakras, as I mentioned earlier, they do have a lot of knowledge. And our third one, our solar plexus, that one really is our gut feeling. So I also have a friend that says that you can follow things when it comes up and it feels light. You hear something or you're talking about something. That's a good one to follow, especially if you're new to it and you're not sure if you trust it yet. If it feels like dread and things are just pulling right out of you, you feel empty, then that's probably one to stay away from or learn more about before you go any further.
That notion of if it's not a resounding yes, it's a no is so incredibly powerful, because I feel like so much of how we're told or we're encouraged to make decisions sometimes is not with that, but it's we'll choose the lesser of two evils.
Right.
And I think, why would we even choose one of the evils versus looking
Right.
for the resounding yes? Like that just seems like it simplifies life so much more. And I'm wondering for you, like, I don't know, this is kind of a random question, but like, can you contrast maybe just briefly, like, before you started doing the resounding yes? I think this is so fascinating when I meet people who do this. Did you find that, like, what was life like before the resounding yes versus what was life after? Or what was, you know, was there a noticeable difference for you in how you showed up, how you experienced life?
Yeah, I would say that it's like you mentioned, it's a much more powerful place to be. And there's a program that I have run since I have been, you know, a young girl, and it's like the yes but, or the either or, and seeing two sides. And you know, even all the self-work that I've done, and I encourage everybody to do self-work, even if it just scares the bejesus out of you, because you know, there's just so many layers that get peeled back. So it's not as suffocating now. And I can tell when I'm getting into that place again, because I'll get in overwhelm and just step back and be like, okay, simplify it. What in this moment, you know, the famous quote about following your bliss. I mean, that's really such profound and simple and great advice. And it can be on anything. It can be as simple as how you're going to be in the morning. I mean, we've all been stuck at home, or, you know, our schedules have completely gone upside down. And so it's just where can you find that bliss? And then go to the next step. If that feels right, go to the next step. So
where has your bliss led you?
Well, so I was in sales when I was doing all the shamanic training, and I was kind of like a shaman in the closet. And I really,
that sounds like a book title.
I know, it could be.
Yeah, that should be your next book, Shaman in the Closet.
So I worked in the liquor industry, which was a lot of fun, but like really when it comes down to it, there's a lot of people that get so in the undertow of drinking. And it was really something that I was finding I wanted to back out of and help people serve people in a way. I've always been an optimist, and I'll always try to find the best in every situation. So now I had some, literally practical magic on some steps to help people clear their energy, feel better about things. And then that led me to, boy, if I can do this energetically, I wonder if I can help people get those emotions and that negativity that's stuck in their body out. And so then I started doing yoga teacher training. And again, I was still doing all of this, on my own time, and really found some, well, with both the shamanic work and the yoga, that cracking open oh my gosh, there's so much ancient wisdom out there that's so beautiful and still to this day so important. And we've just walked away from it, or we don't even know it exists, and it's there for us. So then when I really realized, like, okay, I no longer want to be selling alcohol, I took a huge leap, like totally blindfolded, jumping off the cliff into owning my own yoga studio. And we just finished our 4th year this last fall. And
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been amazing. Our customers, our teachers, it's so nice to be surrounded by people that want to serve people, want to bring people's vibration up. And I just, at the beginning of the year, went for my 300-hour training, and I went to India. I'm like, I'm going to the land of yoga. And I was not sorry one bit.
Really?
The teachers were amazing. I was in Rishikesh, which is like the yoga capital of the world. I mean, couldn't have been in a more beautiful environment. Such great, and I was in my little group, I was the only American. So I had all of these, worldly travelers that were kindred spirit. And, the thing that surprised me the most was not only, just learning more about yoga and the beauty of what it is, but yoga philosophy, yoga therapy, all these different ancient ways that work. But the one that really got me the most was the breath work, the pranayama. Oh my gosh, we should all be doing it, like right now, especially every day, like no doubt about it. And yes, it is yoga. You don't have to be in, some crazy position with, your head down and your feet up. I mean, you can be sitting and breathing and really connecting into your most, your deepest, your highest self. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you mentioned you'd be open to walking us through a little of that.
Yeah, I would. If I can walk you through a few different types of breath work. And it's what's nice about it is there's a lot of other ways that you can find, online for different ailments, different things. So I thought I'd just kind of walk through a few. And like I said, if you can do this every day, it's amazing. So what breathwork is basically, it's a bridge between your body and your mind. And with our breath, I wrote down a few things. We average about 21,000 breaths a day, and that's when we're healthy. If you're unhealthy or you're stressed out, then you take more breaths. And that's when we do that shallow breathing. And it really makes a difference to take the deep breath, slow down. It can change your heart rate. It can change so many things. Normally with breath work, you want to do it on an empty stomach. And if you could do it in the morning is ideally in the yogic and the Ayurvedic way, the best way to do it.
The morning, like the first time right when you wake up, or just?
No, do the things.
Okay.
Do all the things first. And then, and they also are very, they love doing tongue scraping and then brush your teeth and, you know, do all the things.
Okay.
Find your place, find your little sacred space that makes you happy. And if you're doing it indoors, try to make it the same place. Like I actually have like a little, you know, altar and a place
Oh,
where
cool.
I
Okay.
just sit down and I just feel at peace there. And, you know, you can create that however you want. If you're outside, perhaps think about having, you know, something behind you so you don't feel like somebody's walking up on you. Sit next to a tree or a rock, something like that if you can.
Okay.
And then keep with it, because sometimes you're going to be like, this is weird, or I'm not used to this, or I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. Just keep doing it. And eventually you'll find that, like, that letdown is what I call it, when you're just like, I get it. I understand now why this is so important. So I thought what we would start with first is Bastrika breath, and it's bellows. And you think of, you're in California, right? So you probably don't have the old-fashioned fireplace, but it's that thing that would, it looks kind of a,
Yeah. Like the blower or whatever. Yeah.
So that's what we're doing for our body. And it's good for the nervous system and for digestion. It's great for aiding in weight loss. And this particular one is an energizing breath. And so it creates fast movement, circulation of blood in your body. So if a couple of contraindications for people, if you have high blood pressure, this is one that you may want to skip or just do it slowly and see how you feel. And if you're prone to headaches, this might be one that, and especially if you have a headache, don't do it while you have a headache. But as we're changing our body through breath work, you might find that ones you couldn't do at the beginning, you might be able to do later. So this one, we're going to raise our hands up above us, and we'll take an inhale. And then as you come down, you're exhaling through your nose. So two more. All right. And one thing I did forget to not mention, but whenever you're doing this type of breath work, clear your nose first. In India, it's not that big of a deal, but here in America, it's like, ew. So, you know, just blow your nose, have some Kleenex next to you. It's not a big deal. So you want to do that one about 12 times and then just breathe regularly afterwards and bring your, but we went kind of slow, but you can, you know, really bring it in if you want. And if you're feeling like you need energized, that's a good one to do. Kapalabhati, here's another one that's great for clearing. It's Kapalabhati means glow to the cranium or shining skull. It's good for stress reduction. It's a warming and invigorating breath that helps cleanse the lungs, sinuses, and the respiratory system. So you see why I picked this time around. The attention is on the exhale of this one. Okay. And this is another one that you're going to want to either skip or just do slower if you have high blood pressure or any heart problems. And also for women, if you're pregnant or if you're menstruating, just skip this one while that's going on, because it can put pressure on that area. So ideally on this one, you're going to do 3 rounds, anywhere from 10 to 20 breaths per. And you can't really see, but this is the area that we're working on. And it's going to be like, you can actually feel it go in like a dog, you know, when they're get really sniffing. So as you take the first inhale, go ahead and just exhale out. And then I'll show you how it looks first. As you inhale, you're only concentrating on your nose exhaling. You can sip in breath in as much as you need. So it's going to look like this. All right. So we'll do about 10 of those. So inhale. And then just exhale really slowly. You can close your eyes. And then as you inhale, you're sipping slowly through your nose all the way to the top. Hold the breath up there. And then slowly release. So you take 3 sets of those. And when you have your eyes closed and that's all done, then you really do feel like it's almost like your skull is just opening up, and it's bringing oxygen and it's bringing blood up, and it's just a really beautiful breath to work
Yeah, I
with.
totally have like a kind of a euphoric, almost tingly.
Yes.
It's very electrical.
Yes. So that is a good one for you to do. And in the summertime, especially if you're hot-blooded and
Yeah.
you can eat it really quick, that is when you would want to do when it's still cool in the morning, because you don't want to add more fire to your body, in the heat of the day. And especially if you're hot-headed, there's other ones you can do that are cooling, but that's not the one for you. So, all right. So let's do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think the one, and this is for everybody, this is Naadi Shodhan. It is alternate nostril breathing, but it's brain balancing. And there's no contraindications on this one at all. Everybody can do it. My mom actually taught me this when I was in high school, and she wasn't into yoga at all. She had just heard that it was good for stress. And I had a trumpet solo, and as I was walking onto the field, I would just get so nervous. And she's like, try this thing where you like blow out one side and then, and it worked. And so now I'm like, all these years later, I'm like, Mom taught me yoga when I was like 16. So, all right. So taking your right hand, you're going to place your thumb over your right nostril, and you can close your nose, but I usually just kind of cover the nostril. We're going to exhale out the left side. Then we're going to inhale through the left side. Then switch to your ring finger and close the left side. Exhale out. Inhale that side. Exhale other side. Inhale. Exhale opposite. Inhale. Exhale opposite. So you see the pattern there? Now there's a few ways you can do it. Again, you're using your ring finger and your thumb. If you want to place your fingers here, some people are like, that helps with the third eye. Or you can just bend them down, get them out of the way. But either way, this one, I would say if you could set a timer on your phone and do at least 3 minutes. When we were leaving teacher training, they're like 15 minutes, just this breath. Mm-hmm. And I can see why, like once you actually experience it, you will know why it's an important one. But even if you can just get 3 minutes of this breath in, and especially if you are, coming away from a meeting or something going on in your house, you just need some away time. If you're having a lot of family time lately, this will be a nice little escape, and it will physically bring your heart rate down. It'll help your brain. So this is a really good one to know.
I mean, it's interesting doing the 3. I like that you showed us 3 because I could feel noticeable differences between each. And with that last one, I could tell that with doing it more, I could feel myself moving hemispherically, almost.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I'm wondering, so, it's really interesting. We recognize how essential our breath is, but we don't go to our breath.
Mm-mm.
Why do you think, we, the big we, as a society, have an aversion to our breath? Why is it that we turn away from the very thing that gives us life?
Yeah. I think part of us as Americans, Western society, it just really hasn't been a big deal. You know, it hasn't been, I'm so happy to hear that now they're realizing yoga and meditation and all of these beautiful modalities of healing are being taught younger. Because boy, I think about how life would have been so much different if I was a little more calm in my youth. And breath work could have been a simple one. What I love about the breath work is even if you're in not great health, doing some breath work can help you mentally, physically. It helps, you know, with our lungs. And, you know, I'll just kind of say this, it's not irony, but that the world, Mother Earth, Pachamama right now is coming up for a breath, you know, like, and all of these great things that are happening with the less pollution and all this, you know, she's able to breathe. And so, you know, with this being such a lung affected, to have that, these, by doing this daily, it will help your immune system. So just another reason to be aware of it. And yeah, the great news is that more awareness is coming with all of this very, very ancient, you know, it's new to us, but it's been around for thousands of years.
It's incredible too that the answer, part of it is, and I think that you're so spot on with this, is breathing just hasn't been that big of a deal for Western society. And it's just like, you know, I think so many of us, I've often, when appropriate, I'll talk about stress and how it's a luxury for many of us, in the sense that most of what we stress out about is luxury stuff. You know, we don't have to stress out about survival or running water, or it's, you know, people, I'm sure you've had friends that have reported to you when they go to travel abroad and they come back from third world countries and they come back and say, they're so happy over there. And, you know, why are we so miserable? But you look at the dynamic, right, and the simplicity of it all. It's if you have a food on your table and a roof over your head, life is really great. They don't have all the other nonsense that we complicate our lives with, that then we turn around and stress out about.
These.
Yeah. And it's such a truth that the very thing that gives us life, we haven't made it a priority.
Right. So now's the time.
Yeah. Tracy, I'm wondering, you know, people are calling this period of time the time of pause, the reset, the shelter in place. There's all sorts of names. And you feel like every day there's a new name for it. What is your wish for humanity that we come out of during this time? What is your big wish?
I think you were right just a minute ago talking about having the simplicity of gratitude for our home. I mean, we literally have ground below us. You know, we are always supported. I mean, if you look at it that way. So if people could come into more appreciation and gratitude for what they do have, and realize that, you know, literally the world will go on, the earth will go on without us. So why keep all the craziness? Like, this is the time to let go of those things that are weighing us down, energetically hijacking us. So I guess I just want people to be in a place where they're feeling good about life, and again, recognizing each other on that beautiful, I would say it like a spiritual kindred soul, appreciating people for who they are in their soul, in their heart, and just finding the beauty in that.
I love that. Everyone, Tracy laid out some great exercises here that you can follow along. So not only are you going to rewatch and re-listen and take some notes, but you're going to want to follow along with her and maybe just have this, you know, save it to the point on the video where she goes through the exercises, and just let her be your daily guide for walking you through the breath work. I think there's such a great sense of wisdom here in going into and just getting to the simplicity of our breath. The breath is that which gives us life. And perhaps right now, when we might need a perspective on life, We might need a reset on life. We might need to really grasp what life is meaning, what the real meaning of life is. Maybe we could start with our breath. Maybe we could start to go within, look at some of those old wisdoms. I love that you acknowledge too that, to practice this, it doesn't mean you have to contort yourself into a pretzel or do any of those types of things. Get up, let nature call, and then find a space for yourself to really just sit and be still and check in with yourself. Do some work where you do a yoga practice that, again, doesn't have to be pretzel, but it just starts with breathing. Yes. I love how you said at the end that if we could just let go of all the things that don't matter to us, so much of our life and so much of our stress we feel is because of the obsession over that which doesn't really matter. The things that we've learned to matter because we've had the privilege, as Tracy perfectly pointed out, of in Western culture ignoring the very thing that matters most, our breath. And maybe if we just let it go and go back to where everything really began with you, the first breath that you ever took, you might discover something incredible about yourself and life going forward. Tracy, this has been such a gift, and I will absolutely incorporate the breathing exercises going forward. I think that they're just such palpable and powerful little tools to use. And maybe even powerful is not the word. They're powerful in what they can do, but I think power sometimes is a word that gets misconstrued. I think they're powerful in impact, but they are, what's the word? They are necessary, maybe even, to really, I think, enhance our quality of our life. And I just so appreciate you holding this space with us today and sharing so generously from your heart. This has been an absolute blessing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Namaste.
We will see you next time, everybody, on another edition of A Handful of Hope. Bye-bye.